Hi guys, Mike here with another build, and this time I got my Chevy 1958 Chevy Impala, and it's a 1/25th scale, and this is by AMT, and of course it doesn't look like it does here on the box art, but I will show you what it looks like here in just a second, and I'll remove this and show you what I got. And this is it, the 1958 Chevy Impala. Excuse me. First off, guys, I'm going to have to apologize because I consider this to be unfortunately one of my failures. The paint screwed up on me on this model, but there's a lot of good aspects about this model though that I wanted to point out. First of all, I should let you guys know what happened with the paint. As you can see, I two-toned it. The bottom is like a metallic gray, a dark metallic gray, and of course as the top, as you can see, is an orange. I got done getting the coats of orange on here on the top half. I think I did, like, I don't know, about 3 coats. And then I went to put some clear coat on it, and it wrinkled up the paint on the top here and on the hood really bad, and in other spots as well too. So I tried to see if I could salvage it. My wife had some nail polish remover, and I just kind of went over this whole front area of the car and removed all the paint and primer and everything as much as I could, and redid it. And it still didn't, come out that great, unfortunately. It doesn't really show up on the video that much, but I'm going to see if I can show you, like on the back here, if I can focus. See how it wrinkles up there on the back wing there, and I don't know if you can see it as well on that. Okay, there you go. It just messed it all up. Okay, now you can see it on the back of the trunk there. So anyway, so I'm sure everybody's had their failures here and there with building models, and of course I've had my fair share as well too. But putting all that aside, I'm going to get on to the other aspects of the car. I put a fair amount of work into the car, regardless of the paint messing up. One thing about this model, this is the first model that I have ever bought that already had doors that you could open. So I thought that was kind of a neat feature. They don't open that great though, unfortunately, but they do open. So that is kind of a nice aspect to it, because here now I can show everybody the inside of the car a lot better. See if I can focus in here and show you I did some detail work, of course, here on the dash, and two-toned the seats. Okay, let me see if I can. Yeah, these doors, they can just come right off, but I won't try to take it off right now. I'll just see if I can show you. Okay, that one fell off, but they hook right back on. I did the steering wheel brown and silver and black and red, and it's kind of hard to see it, I guess, with the lighting. And then you can see I detailed the back there a little bit. I didn't put seat belts in this car because, of course, as a lot of you know, they didn't have seat belts back in 1958, to my knowledge. So I didn't put them in. Okay, I'm gonna get this door hooked back on here. Okay. Alrighty, so the next thing that I wanted to talk to you guys about is something that I discovered from watching a video that was put on YouTube by a dog with a dog's model shop. And I know probably a lot of you guys have seen it, maybe some of you haven't, but he had a technique where he showed how you could cut plastic using thread, just regular sewing thread. So I was really impressed by that. And you know, I used to really get into the idea of opening doors and trunks and all that kind of stuff on the models I had, but it took a lot of time to do that, you know, using a hobby knife, and plus the fact that, you know, after you cut them, you know, it really left a gap, a pretty good sized gap after using the hobby knife, and it just took forever, you know. So but his technique, he showed me, he just put some plastic in a vise, and he took the thread, and it just blew me away how easy that was for him to, it took him just, you know, a couple of seconds to cut what would have took maybe, you know, 15-20 minutes to half hour to cut using a hobby knife. So I was really impressed with that, and I decided to try it with this model. And so therefore I cut open the trunk, and I hinged it up using my floating hinge here, and I got my spare tire in there in the back. I put some felt in there in the back to simulate, you know, kind of like a cloth interior. And also another thing I cut, not just the opening of the trunk, but this area here had a big lip coming out. I don't know why it did, because there's nothing. It had a couple of holes to hook something onto, and but I didn't want it in there because it would have looked ridiculous, you know, after me opening up the trunk. So I used some thread to cut that whole piece off. It took me maybe 5-10 minutes, maybe not even, probably 5 minutes to cut that. I was using just regular sewing thread, but my wife had some different thread that she said was stronger. And if you guys want to ever try that, try this. She said she gave me some what's called upholstery thread, and that's what I used to cut out this trunk, and it worked really good. I mean, it took me maybe hardly 10 minutes to cut this whole trunk out, and it would have took me probably an hour using a hobby knife. You know, probably more, you know, slow as I am, but you know, if you guys want to do that, you know, I haven't cut out any doors yet, but that's going to probably be the next thing I'm going to do, because it just is a very quick way to cut open, you know, cut through plastic, and it cuts the cut that it makes is really a fine cut, you know, because this, you know, it doesn't really set in there that well, but you can see the trunk is really snug fitting in there. You know, if it went down all the way, okay, there you go. It's really snug fitting, and that is because I used the thread to cut that. It just cuts a fine line. And I didn't, like I said, I didn't cut out the doors. The doors came that way. But anyway, I'm going to show you guys the motor. I wired up the motor and tried to detail it up some. I used a smaller gauge wire for the spark plug wires, and it worked a lot better. And as you can see, I did a little other detail in there too. I colored the air cleaner there like a gloss black, but the paint, I'm going to have to kind of water it down a little bit because it doesn't, it kind of cakes up, you know. It doesn't lay smooth on there, so I'm going to have to do something about that. But so anyway, that's the motor. Wired it up, detailed it as much as I could, and I'm going to shut that and show you guys the bottom, which I tried to do some detail work with it. Painted the fuel tank silver. The bottom under chassis, I sprayed it a gloss black, and painted the mufflers red there. I painted the engine like what they call a warm buff color, but you can't even see it. You know, it's just, it's got so much stuff in there, you know, blocking the view of the engine. But this is the under chassis of the car, and I black washed the hubcaps, and as you can see, oh, there goes my my side view mirror came off. Them things just, this is like the umpteenth time I tried to glue that on. It just doesn't want it to stay. I black washed the grill, and to try to give it a little more realism there. And I had some pinstripe decals that I put on there to kind of snazz it up a little bit. But you know, there again, I consider this one of my failures, unfortunately. So I'm not very happy with it. I mean, I'm happy with it in some aspects. You know, I'm happy with it with what I found out that I can do with it now with other models, you know, with using the thread to cut plastic. So, but other than that, this is my 58 Chevy Impala. And, you know, if you guys want to comment, let me know what you think. I mean, I know it's not a model I'm totally happy with, but, you know, I did my best with it, regardless of the screw-ups with the paint. Another thing I wanted to point out, which I'm sure you guys saw, this spot here, and it's another mess up. It doesn't have anything to do with the clear coat. I tried to mask this off to put the Molotov chrome along that edge there, and I didn't press down hard enough on with the tape, and it kind of bled through, unfortunately. So I tried to repair that with some paint. I just took a toothpick and sprayed some of the paint and tried to dab it on there, but as you can see, it just came out crap, you know. So, but one of my failures, but you know, maybe some of you guys are like some of the other things I talked about with this model. So anyway, I'm gonna let you guys go. Have a great rest of the day. Talk to you later.